Hey 5th grade, this is lesson 8-7, Patterns Extending Tables. Your learning goal for tonight is to use patterns to show relationships and evaluate algebraic expressions. 3 learning goals that I want you to write in your spiral are to use patterns to show relationships, to analyze patterns and relationships, and to extend patterns in a table using given rules. Write these 3 vocabulary words in your journal. Pause the video and start it when you are finished. Corresponding. Corresponding means matching terms in a pattern. Sequence, which is a set of numbers that follows a pattern. And term, numbers in a sequence or variables such as x and y in an algebraic expression. And remember that the variables don't have to just be x and y. They can be a, b, or c, or other variables that are chosen to be used in an expression. Write those down and start the video when you're finished. All right, let's look at this first example. There's going to be a chart that I want you to write down. I want you to copy that chart into your spiral before we get started. So if you need to, please pause the video. Copy this chart into your spiral. Your teacher is going to want to see it tomorrow. So pause the video and then restart when you're finished. All right. Martin is growing tomatoes and lettuce. He collected the information in the table below. Find the number of each type of plant in rows 4 and 5. What is the relationship between the number of lettuce plants and the number of tomato plants in each row? So not only are we going to solve for rows 4 and 5, but we need to figure out what the relationship is. So in order to do that, you're going to look at how many tomato plants are in the first 3 rows, how many lettuce plants are in the first 3 rows. So we're looking for this pattern, 2, 4, 6. We know that there is a difference in those numbers, 4, 8, 12. What's the difference between those numbers? These numbers increase by 2. So we know between 2 and 4 that if you multiply 2 by 2, you get 4. So maybe it's multiplied by 2. But if you look between 4 and 6, you cannot multiply 4 by 2 and get 6. So you also know if you add 2 to 2, you can get 4. If you add 2 to 4, you can get 6. If you add 2 to 6, you're going to get 8. Now if we add 2 to 8, we're going to get 10. So our tomato plants, it's add 2 every time for every row. Our pattern here, 4, 8, 12. This obviously increases by 4. But you have to look at the difference here. From 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 6 to 12. It increases. The difference in the tomato plants and the lettuce plants is this increases by 2. So for every 2 tomato plants, this doubles to the lettuce plants. So this is double, 4 to 8 is double, 6 to 12 doubles, 8 then doubled would be 16, 10 doubled would be 20. So going across, this increases by 2. But the difference between the tomato and the lettuce plants is that these increase by 2 and it doubles every row. And then if you look across, this is plus 4, plus 4, plus 4 all the way across. So there's a pattern and a relationship. So we have solved, but the relationship between the number of lettuce plants and tomato plants in each row is that there are double the number, and this is what they want you to do, of tomato plants as there are lettuce plants. That's what they're asking you to solve for. So now let's look at some problems together. Let's look at these practice problems. Tara starts with $10 in her bank and saves $6 each week. Mike starts with $15 and saves $6 each week. Show how much money each has saved at the end of each week. What is the relationship between how much money each has at the end of the week? So Tara starts with 10 and saves $6 a week. He starts with 15. He saves $6 each week also. So we're going to add 6 each week. Pause the video, fill in your chart. Make sure you make this chart. I know it's going to take a little bit longer, but make each chart. Fill it in, pause your video, start when you're ready. All right, so if you added 6 every time to both of them, 16 plus 6 is $22. I have to go back, sorry. $22. You're going to add 6 again. So the next week then she has $28 because you're adding 6 every week. Week 2, he has $21, but he added 6 more. He now has $27. You added 6 more. He now has $33 at the end of week 4. The relationship between what they have is that he has, because he started out with $5 more, the relationship is that he has $5 more than she has. So Mike has, and you have to write this down. It's very hard to write with this pen, so pardon my messy writing. Mike has $5 more than Tara. Always in a word problem, when it asks you to write something, you have to write an answer. You can't just write a number. Word problems require you to write an answer out in word form. Thus, it's a word problem because it writes it out in word and it wants an answer in word form. So don't forget to do that. You'll lose lots of points if you don't. Let's do another one. Don't forget, please write this chart. Pause the video if you need to. Create the chart first, and then we'll solve. Angelina is watching the bird show at the zoo. She notices there's a relationship between the number of rose-ringed parakeets and red macaws in the axe. She decided to make a table with her data. What is the relationship between the number of parakeets and the number of macaws? So Act 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 3, 5, 7, and 9 for the parakeets. 2, 4, 6, and 8. You decide what you think the relationship is. I want you to write it down. Look at the math, write it down, pause the video, and then we'll talk about it together. All right, let's see what you did. So the difference here, in every act, they increase by how many? From 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and 7 to 9. If you notice, there is an increase of 2 every time. 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7, and 7 plus 2 is 9. The red macaws goes from 2, 4, 6, and 8. Again, if you look at the difference, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 6 plus 2 is 8. So the difference is they both increase by 2. However, because they start out with 1 additional parakeet than macaw, the relationship is there is 1 more parakeet. This is hard to write with this pen. Than macaw. And that's what you would write. Remember, it's asking you to tell the relationship. You can't just write the number 1. It wants you to write the whole thing. Hopefully you did well on that one. All right, let's look at a challenge problem for tonight. The chart below shows how many times a monarch butterfly beats its wings every second. How many times will a monarch butterfly beat its wings in 8 and 15 seconds? What is the relationship between the number of seconds and the number of beats? Write the expression that shows the number of wing beats for n number of seconds. So n is the variable you're going to use. So here is your chart I want you to complete, and then you need to answer the questions that it's asking you for. Put these answers into your journal and bring your answer tomorrow for your teacher to check. All right, let's finish up. Review all the learning goals. Put a 1, 2, or 3 for your understanding in your notebook. Do you have all of the learning goals written down, your vocabulary, and your practice problems written down? Make sure you have your chart for your challenge problem and your answer written down in your spiral so you can check it tomorrow with your teacher. You've now completed 8-7, which is our final video for Chapter 8, so good job, 5th grade. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.